Come, let me get you some.
Yo, 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 welcome to Saber Talk Sunday. We got Darth Ferris in the house, and we got a special guest. We got Bobby Zavala. He is the reigning champion of Saber Combat. Welcome, my friend. Welcome, dude.
Welcome. Thank you.
Good to be back.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what got you into the Saber Combat stuff? I mean, as far as
So,
love of sabers, but what got you into the combat part of it?
all right. Well, right now I'm number one, or I have the championship belt for the Saber Legion, which is the largest combat saber league in the U.S. right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it for a little over, hold on, yeah, a little over 6 years. Uh, we're going into my seventh year. I came from a different background. Like I've competed Ninja Warrior professionally a bit for about 12 years now. Competed on the
That's
show some
cool.
of the earlier seasons, and then been a part of that before it was an actual sport. But just going through different communities throughout my adult life, like I've found the Saber Legion 2018 and fell in love with it, started traveling and getting involved with that, and I'm now on the leadership board and have been doing this all around the country.
Wow, dude, that's awesome, man. Now, you showed me some pictures of some very badass sabers and very long sabers at that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you were telling me that,
Did you just drop out? Oh. Oh. And now a word from our sponsors.
Well,
Oh, he's
what?
back.
Oh my God.
Don't leave me
Yeah,
like
I'm like, I don't know what happened. It just all of a sudden went, I mean, it's weird. I didn't touch anything. And all of a sudden it just, see, I tell you, this is the reason why I love being live though, because I always say that you can never edit life, right? And so when shit
yeah,
happens, it happens, man. Um,
yeah.
but let's go back to what I was saying. Yoda, man, Yoda's all freaking out over here. He's like, "What the hell? Damn it! What the hell?" Um,
Yeah.
so you were showing, like I said, you were showing me some very long swords, sabers,
Hmm.
and you were saying that in these combat situations that the short swords or the short sabers, sorry, really don't make any good fighting for, right?
They really don't. One thing that sets this apart from other sword arts is that the Saber Legion, don't picture it like Star Wars LARPing as much as you picture it as a mixed martial arts of different swordplay. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the top people in there, they have like rapier backgrounds, they have kendo, they have hema, they have a lot of different actual fencing backgrounds that have nothing to do with Star Wars, and then they all go together. But it is still simulating a laser sword, so a light touch and a hard hit count the same.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh, okay.
so when you go for these shorter things, so you're gonna get outreach. So even if you parry through, because
Mm-hmm.
these are polycarbonate blades, and the blades do flex
Mm-hmm.
over. So a lot of times, even if you block up, the blade could flex over and still tap you in the shoulder, and that would still be a point against you.
yeah.
Wow.
So having those shorter blades, it makes it a lot harder to actually get in. You have to be a lot more aggressive. And what's benefit of the Max Link Sabers? So standard division is 51 inches. So I have one right here. This
Mm-hmm.
is Rebel Saber Scrapper. It's an
Oh,
LGT
wow.
Saber that we made to
Mm-hmm.
work for Saber Combat, but it's a 16-inch hilt from tip to blade. That's about 31 inches, so it's 51 inches
Mm-hmm.
overall. But even if you have a shorter arm length than me, if we both
Mm-hmm.
have a 51-inch saber, the first valid target, which would be right here, if we both hold our hands out, it's just as far away. So
Mm-hmm.
whether you have longer arms or shorter arms, it's not going to matter as much if you have the longer sabers.
Wow. And speed does speed account for a lot of that too as well?
It
Uh,
does, yes.
yeah, definitely. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Bears.
during my first matchup with them with Saber Legion a couple weeks ago, I mean I probably told you guys this already, Mundo, but I went up against Bobby. I got a couple hits in, but ultimately, I was being a little more linear with my approach with my footwork, and
Hmm.
it resulted in me getting hit more times than I could count. But um, the the ultimate thing away from it, and which I still hold true to it, is it's being able to be more adaptive in this sport. And if
Hmm.
that means being more maneuverable and also just being able to change up tactics because repeating the same footwork, it's going to make you vulnerable.
I think that's true for most of all martial arts, because if you don't adapt to certain things, then you're at a standstill and you're gonna lose pretty much every time. Um,
Well,
however, but go ahead.
well, I mean, I did. I also went up against the head of the Knoxville chapter, and I lost by a point. So I'd say I'm getting there to say the least.
Hey, practice makes perfect, man.
Yeah. But one thing that sets this apart with other sword arts too is that this is a polycarbonate tube, and it
Hmm.
slides. So if you go toward like I have my Hema longsword right here. This is
Hmm.
still, so it will actually bind, will actually catch, so you can actually push everything away. With the polycarbonate though, it will slide through. So when you
Right.
go through a sport where a light touch still counts, um, footwork is key and getting out of the
Footwork.
way. Like we could teach you defense all day. We could teach you all kinds of blocks. We could teach you whatever we want, but the best defense is just to not be in the way
Right.
to begin
Yeah.
with.
Absolutely.
So
Oh, here's
Oh, so that's it.
there's a question from Scott Carpenter. Do
Yep.
you guys use armor plates on fingers of gloves and wrists, like resin?
yes, we have a whole armor kit that we wear. I wear HEMA equipment, so I have the host sparring gloves. You can wear it all the way down to lacrosse gloves. I know the cheaper lacrosse gloves. They're not allowed anymore because it needs to be a certain thickness because these things do break fingers
Yeah,
pretty
they
easily.
really hurt.
That was going to be a question of mine.
Yeah.
Have y'all been hurt? So.
So we wear a lot of things. Like you have to wear a fencing mask. You have to have a gorget. Tournaments you have to
Mhm.
have back ahead. Like you I wear a whole Hema gambeson. Um and you can hit pretty hard on my gambeson. I'll barely feel it. It's just because it's made to handle steel swords. I
Mhm.
think the day that Darth Barris was there, I think I spent more time fighting still with the people across the way than I was with the Saber people.
Yeah, well, they invited you over to spar, and honestly, I thought it was cool that you were crossing over and
Well,
and working with those guys.
well, I don't know if you're still there after, but some of them came over to our side as well.
I didn't see that, no, and I wish I stayed. I would have come with you guys to dinner.
Oh yeah,
That sounds
because
like a lot.
it's yeah, because
Now,
uh that group in Chattanooga, they're pretty cool. That HEMA group. I know some groups have a elitist mentality, which is weird, but a lot of times if you can go over to these other groups and just kind of spar with them and keep up with them and just prove that you're not just some nerd that's just running around with the lightsaber, that you're an actual athlete, they'll be more likely to want to join you.
Yeah, I mean
that's
the whole elitist like holier than thou attitude when it comes to sword fighting. It's
that's everywhere, man.
chivalry may not be dead,
Yeah,
but being gentlemanly about it is something that still applies.
yeah,
Oh, it
Nobody likes
should. Absolutely. Absolutely, it should apply. And even in the Saber community, you have certain elitists there too. And but that's the thing. I think everybody is, no matter what your, you know, level is, whether you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced, you know, everybody should come together. I mean, you're if you're in the same boat, it's not like anybody's better than anybody when you're in the middle of the water and who's gonna jump ship because somebody no, you're
Yeah.
not gonna do that.
Um,
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Bobby, I was able to fix up my Balin hilt after that practice. I used a metal on metal epoxy that was recommended to me by a guy at Ace Hardware, and it is so solid. Like I don't even think it's ever going to break again. But I'm not going to take that chance.
I was about to say, don't say that.
now,
I
now,
have
do you guys?
yeah, I've tested newer companies that think that their hilt's not going to break in the past.
Uh,
Yeah, well, I
So,
mean, those side fins. I mean, obviously they're either going to be cast with the metal and molded with it, or it's going to be a separate part. And either
yeah,
way, it's still going to be vulnerable.
yeah. But
are the
to
hills?
answer Scott's question, this is what I wear. I have an
Uh-huh.
underglove that goes with it, but you can hit me pretty hard and like I'm not going to notice it.
Yeah, I've got to make a date with Matthew. Just me and him. He joins me to Academy, or we go to Academy or Dick's, and he helps me like pick out my gear. Like I got to ask him about that.
Well, if you come up to Nashville with them at some point, go to Play It Against Sports. I don't know if you have one in Chattanooga, but Play It Against Sports.
Oh, looks like he froze.
Oop. Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Well,
froze there.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
There he goes. He's back. Yep.
definitely, yeah. I mean, it's still a long ways away till the TSL champion, but but I definitely want to come up and I'll definitely come up and take a look at that. Yeah, definitely.
Do you break more hilts than blades, or
no,
is it the opposite?
you definitely break a lot more blades. But it depends. Like one thing with these LGT hilts, like I think this is the TXQ Saber right here. This is a shorter. This is usually what people
Mm-hmm.
buy if you want a good size
Mm-hmm.
comparison between the two hilts. Um, but if you're looking at this right here, you have roughly this much thread that's going over the actual metal. So one
Mm-hmm.
thing that's good about the scrapper design that helps a lot is I have the electronics here. So the
Mm-hmm.
blade actually goes down and it's over this thread, and then the electronics are over this thread. So there's actually nothing hollow inside of it at all. There's some longer hilt
Wow.
designs from the LGT community where they put the
Mm-hmm.
electronics a little further up and they'll just put um, extension down on the bottom. But
Mm-hmm.
from when we attack and it has all that flex right here, there's not enough thread and it's hollow on the inside. So there's a lot of times it will break off
Mm-hmm.
mid fight. So the only way to stop that is either take a broken blade scrap and move it up over the threads, or just move the electronics down like this design right here.
There
Mm-hmm.
are some cores that are called inverted cores where it's upside down, where it's an upside down activating thing. Do dueling heels operate without sounds? I mean, obviously, yes, they do, Scott. They do, but it's more fun when the sound is on.
Yeah. Now,
Uh,
does it like mid fight? Do your sounds actually, come off and quit? Simply because of the hits, how hard they are hitting, or is
Um,
it? Do the sounds actually still stay on after the combat's over?
so that depends on which one that you have. So
Mm-hmm.
these LGT hilts, I know that's just what's in my hand, so that's what I keep talking about. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't keep the sound on personally because it kind of bugs me.
Oh, it
And
does.
you
It does.
don't even notice it mid fight because you don't hear the ref, you don't hear anything else going on. You just get distracted by the sound. You're
Mm-hmm.
allowed to have it, obviously. I personally don't. Some people literally just drop a flashlight into a hilt, and that will be yeah, it works.
yeah,
It
it,
lights up
it
the
it
blade.
makes sense. It makes
I'm
sense.
for me.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of getting. I have a I have a build that might work for sparring, but I need to get a, uh, a circle charger, a circle charging core with it.
So
So it it'll probably be just an RGB, which I'm not the biggest fan of Xeno V3, but for the case of that, yeah, what he has is the basic RGB platform.
Yeah. So here's the chassis in this TXQ Saber right here. But the you see where the battery goes right here. Sometimes if you hit the blade hard enough, I don't really fight with this one. There's not really much of a point to it, but it will separate the battery briefly and then knock it back into place to where it will cut off for a split second.
Oh, okay.
So one of the easiest ways to remedy that is to close that little split gap. Take a tiny piece of aluminum foil and just stuff it in between there,
Wow.
and it will
That's.
I'll make it a little bit more durable.
Has anybody showed up with NeoPixel blades in there?
I actually have a NeoPixel version of this that I fought with for the championship bout. You're allowed to fight with them. I personally only do, like right now, if you see on my windowsill, that's the championship belt for the Saber Legion.
Yeah, I was seeing that. I was
me.
looking at it.
Yeah. I did it because the championship bout, I'm only fighting one guy. But if I'm at a tournament, like I'm probably fighting 15 to 20 fights that weekend. This blade right here, I can bulk order these and I can make them for about $15 a blade.
Wow.
Those NeoPixels cost $130 to replace.
130? My God.
Yeah, like 100. Yeah, because it's a LED strip all the way up.
Right. Yeah.
So I have one that holds up to dueling that I only use for specialty occasions, but for the everyday dueling, I just use the baselet because if I got to replace the blade, I'm not breaking the bank to do it.
Right. You're only what? You're out what? Maybe 10, $12, as opposed to the 130. So much easier in the pocketbook.
Yeah.
My God. And how many blades would you say that you go through each tournament?
Actually don't. Like I've had this blade right here for about a year without breaking it.
Oh, nice.
It's usually it depends. Because there's a lot of mine that I've gotten up the custom Saber shop that it seems like I break them more often, but it's just because if it's not like this hill or something that I mainly duel with, I loan it out to people at practice to where it might just be passed around by 15 different people throughout the whole practice, and there's no telling if they have control or if they're just hitting really hard, and the blades don't last as long if they're getting repetitive use that way compared to just the ones that I'm using.
Yeah. Hey, Bobby, I wanted to quickly mention, remember how I told you about that one Saber company, Lucky Sabers, the one with the so one of the things he has under his products is he has pixel blades, 1-inch blades, 32 and 36 inch. The 36 inch is $70.
Cool. The one in my Xenopixel right now is a 40-inch blade, but it also has a 2-inch spacer in the hilt as well to make it the full 51-inch length because there's about a 6.5-inch blade depth in the middle. Because especially who I was fighting there for the championship belt, that guy was 6'4" with
yeah, you're gonna need a long
with about he had a positive ape index too, so his wingspan was longer than his height.
Oof, yeah.
So I definitely did not want to go shorter for that fight.
Yeah, you would need to do some real Elder Scrolls tactic there.
Yeah, and then for a fight that high stakes, I'm definitely just gonna go with what I'm used to.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Have you seen anybody with a shorter blade actually win, or not really?
No, I've done it. I've done this sport. I've traveled all around the country, from California to Florida, to like the Saber fight with the Saber Legion, and everyone who's tried to use a shorter blade, I have not seen them have any success. My very first tournament, I used a shorter blade because I didn't know better, and I did make it. I made it to quarterfinals, so I won 4 fights and then lost the 5th one, and that was my very first tournament. But the sport was also new, at the time,
Hmm.
so where not everybody had the longer sabers. But now that there's a lot of different companies, a lot more easier ways to get the longer hilts, then
Hmm.
I personally have not seen any success with shorter hilts.
It kind of makes sense though, because in dealing with almost like a kendo fight too,
Mhm.
like you mentioned that it's all these different forms of the martial arts and mixed martial arts
Mhm.
and stuff like that, but you mentioned that technique, your footwork is key, your the length of your blade is key as well,
Mhm.
and the timing. I mean, oh my God, I bet the timing has to be just, I mean, seconds in every aspect of it, especially when you're going in for that hit, for the point.
Yeah. One thing that I have seen success from, like I have seen success for shorter than the 16-inch hilts. Like I've seen some
Hmm.
people at 14, but this Suba right here, there's a lot of one-handed fighters that will have it further back in their hilt, and they'll put
Hmm.
some weight in their pommel as they do that. Like we don't have it officially announced yet, but there is someone I'm gonna fight to defend the belt with. Obviously, but the guy that I'm going to fight, he is a one-handed fighter, and he does put the
Hmm.
hilt all the way back. And that guy is like 6 foot. He's another really tall, lengthy guy, and
Hmm.
he's a really tough fighter. But that's what he does. He puts the super further back and puts a lot of weight in the hilt. And I got to get very creative to get around him because how much
Hmm.
risk control he has, and
Hmm.
he's not going to be an easy fight, but it's going to be a fun one. And
Oh, I imagine. I imagine. Well, we certainly wish you all the success on that fight, man.
yeah.
Definitely for sure. Uh, and you know, when this sport came out, how enthusiastic were you to know that this finally came out as like, okay, we're gonna do some of this combat stuff, and did you jump in like full force, or were you kind of like a little bit hesitant, like, mm, I'm
Well,
gonna try it out and see if I like it, sort of thing?
Well, I have a pretty bad habit of just jumping into things full on. Like I said, my background is Ninja Warrior, and the
Yeah.
second that all came to the United States, which was about season 4, I ended up
Hmm.
building one of the largest private ninja courses in the world at the time,
Hmm.
and I jumped in fully for that. I ended up building gyms for that, and went all in and traveled the country for that. Became part of the sport as it was becoming an actual sport outside the TV show, and been part of that community. As I got into the Saber community, I kind of did the same thing, just not for as
Hmm.
big of an extreme because I didn't have to go build a $30,000 obstacle course out in the country. Um, yeah, but the I did it started off with my brother, like cuz I did buy a couple sabers a few years into the ninja community that I would just goof
Hmm.
off with random people. Like we'd go to some gym and we'd be swinging from rings trying to swing at each other with lightsabers, and or walking across slack lines, things
So,
that
so basically,
and
Oh yeah,
reenact
the fun shit,
heroes,
the fun
basically.
shit.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
things that pretty much are not safe. And these things, I have accidentally knocked somebody out with these sabers before,
Oh,
without
no
bad.
shit.
So
Wow.
yeah, I'm pretty strict now to only spar people that are wearing gear, um, especially the fencing mask, because if you do get hit in the temple just right, it's not a good day, um,
Wow.
as I've experienced in the past on accident. But the I'm pretty strict on certain gear. Just like one of the most overlooked gear for people that are just practicing for the Saber Legion is the gorgets, the neck guards.
Hmm.
Because even with my Hema Gambison, and I got one of the nicest gorgets money can buy that I won in a tournament. It's this one right here. It's the number one rapier gorget. It's all metal
Oh,
plates.
cool.
It's has a pretty good bib, a metal collar, and it goes underneath my
Nice.
padded jacket that I wear that can handle steel swords, and
Hmm.
with some exotic sabers that are even longer than these. I have taken shots to the neck that have made me drop and cough,
Yeah.
even with all that gear on. It was a
Wow.
freak accident. It wasn't uh, what's common, but what people don't realize is that if you go with the thrust for steel swords, they bend. Like
Hmm.
they have a lot of bend to them.
Right.
So a cut from a steel sword obviously is going to hurt more because it's metal, but the thrusts actually don't do nearly as much damage because it has that flex. Now, if
Hmm.
you're going with the flex of the polycarbonate, it doesn't. There's like no
Right.
flex in here at all. So you have the opposite problem. Like if I'm doing a cut, it will flex in the cut, but it won't flex in the thrust. So there's a lot of times that if you accidentally take a good shot to the neck, even with all that armor on, that's it's not
Yeah.
going to feel too great. So
Somebody's gonna get a tonsillectomy right away.
yeah, they actually the well one of the rule sets for the Saber Legion is the Unity division, which is the continuous fighting, and
Hmm.
I think it was TSL 6 that they had two of the fighters that were fighting each other. One of them accidentally took a shot to the neck, and that's with his Gambison that he had like mine. He had a metal gorget underneath. He woke up in the hospital.
Ooh.
Oh gosh.
And then
Wow.
so they redid the whole rule set. They have it a lot more stricter now. It's the Unity rule set's kind of confusing to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm.
But nobody's gone to the hospital since then. For that rule set so far. Knock on wood. But I pretty much just stick to the standard and exotics rule set, which is just hit them. Whoever hit first is the gets the point. Then we step
Hmm.
aside and then we fight again until the next person gets hit.
Man. Oh man. I can. I watched one little video on some of that stuff, and oh man, just seeing, I believe it was a fencing video that I watched as well. So in the aspect of watching that fencing video and seeing, how quickly they can either parry or thrust and so forth, and then the key and the footwork that goes into it. But in coincidence of, all these different formats of fighters, how, I mean, adjusting has to be like tremendously uh I guess frustrating at times, because you fight one fighter one way, and then the next fighter you really have to quickly adapt to his way of fighting, each person that you go through, right?
I mean that is very true. To an extent. Uh, One thing that like no offense to the Saber community, but coming from Ninja, the athletic level compared to the
Hmm.
two divisions, like it doesn't matter if there's 50 people or 100 people at a Saber tournament. Usually the top 8 is almost always the same. You got one of the fighters in the Saber Legion, Alec Martinez. He actually wrote a book that you can buy on Amazon on LED saber
Hmm.
combat and how traditional sword art translates to saber combat. He's one of
Hmm.
the best sword fighters I know, and he's pointed that out before in the past of how um, the athleticism really changes once you get to the higher up divisions or higher up
Hmm.
later in the because there's a lot of people. It doesn't matter how much they train. It's just like there's people that have trouble still just moving out of the way. Um,
Hmm.
but one thing that helps with my style, like Alex beat me quite a number of times actually, but he's one of those that had the Suba further back and has more of a one-handed technique. Um,
Hmm.
but a lot of those one-handed fighters, like I have easier time fighting them, minus like Alec and a couple other people. Just because the longer hit, I can get better pivot points just from how I twist my hip. I can kind of keep my top hand pulling or pointing wherever, and my bottom hand actually does all the work. And I can generate a lot of momentum from the tip of my blade that even if they're stronger than me or whatever, it will knock their blade out of the way just with a quick strike.
Wow. That's dude. That's so interesting. Now, has anybody actually ever lost grip on their sabers while they were fighting?
Oh, it happens a lot. Like they have a whole joke
Does
about
it?
it. they have a whole joke about it to do 10 push-ups if it happens to you. But there's let me see if yeah, I got a blade right here. This one's this actually just a broken blade stock. But a lot of people this translates the same in ninja when you're trying to grab vertical grips. A lot of people when they try to fence, they're trying to have their hand right here. Your muscles are not tightening up very well. So a lot of times, like if I want to grab this, I can just pull it straight out of the hand. The same thing when a lot of these one-handed fencers, you can really tell when people know a sword background or they just watched a bunch of YouTube videos. And it's a lot of it's the grip right here because I could just take the blade and I can just smack it out from how they're gripping. So what you really want to do is really act like you're doing a sarcastic thumbs up. Like you don't want to talk to the person. But you're like, okay, cool. Because what's going to happen is you're going to tighten these muscles up and you're really going to be more right here. Because now as I try to pull, like I can't pull the blade out as I can right here. And same thing, if I'm trying to smack the blade, it's not coming out of my hand because all these muscles right here are tightened up. So if I'm wanting to thrust or I'm wanting to attack, I really got to make sure these muscles are tightened. And it doesn't even matter if how strong I am. It's just they're not going to get this out of my hand without breaking it.
Right. Wow. And how much training do you guys go through, like right before tournaments and stuff? I mean, is this an everyday training deal, or is it kind of like, maybe you train three out of the 5 days, 4 days? What's your training regiment like?
So it depends. I really only train Saber once a week. I do it every Friday. Sometimes I do one or two more practices if I travel. Like where I met Barris at was in Chattanooga. I traveled a couple hours to that practice. But I coach ninja 3 days a week. And then I train with the kids for that sport. And then I haven't done it in a while, but I used to take HEMA classes as well for a different type of sword training. And then I really just try to stay light on my feet and just try to do whatever keeps my core tight and keep my balance going and keeping me agile is more beneficial than just specific sword drills every day of the week.
Well, that's cool. That's I would have thought you would have trained a lot more actually, from how, what it would take to go through these tournaments. But once a week, wow.
Well, once a
Uh,
week specifically for Saber, but like I said, the fitness, because as I said earlier, the best defense is just to not be in the way.
yeah.
So if you like just training ninja, like you got to have a lot of quick reflexes just to hold on. Yeah, just to change your whole body trajectory to catch something else at a split second. And just being light on your feet. So when things flip over as you're running across it, you're not going to fall with it. And just you got to have a lot of balance in that sport. So just doing something to keep me agile to where I could keep my balance and move out of the way without falling over. Training that multiple times a week is more beneficial than just practicing. All right, let's just see what strikes we could do now.
My God, Scott. Wrestle demons assist.
Yeah.
I mean, he's welcome to try to spin. That's he could try to spin.
I would say I would say in those kind of tournaments.
Yeah.
I don't see any spinning available to win. I mean, I think you'll get a point for flashiness, but it ain't gonna win you nothing.
No, every now and then you can get 1 point by just doing something stupid that they don't expect.
Getting stabbed in the toe, getting stabbed in the toe. That happened to me.
Yeah.
And let's just say I paid for that dearly the week after.
Yeah, that's not a legal target in this sport, though.
God.
So hopefully they don't do that. But yeah, spinning. I've seen a couple people pull it off successfully, and it's hilarious and it gets everyone hype. But it's not common, and it will only work one time because if they try it again, they're just gonna get clocked in the back so hard. that they're not
Yeah.
gonna want to.
Yeah.
I
mean,
Scotty didn't mean to
The
combat.
closest thing that I do to spinning, that I did to spinning during that practice, was the floor salute that you see Christopher Lee do in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. I know
Is
somebody.
there a salute before y'all fight?
You gotta bow to your or corners and opponent just to have
Yeah.
respect. That's a lot of martial arts though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. As I told Barris and I told a few other people before too, that I've had a year of karate, a year of taekwondo, and about a year and a half of kung fu, and so I'm familiar with all of the deals. I've been to a karate tournament, so if it's the same scenario with that type of functionality, that's just awesome. And I bet all of the crowd just gets excited for certain fights here and there, or is everybody genuinely excited at every fight that goes on? I
Well,
would
just like
imagine everybody's pretty.
it depends on the fight. Like some of it, like I know a couple years ago we combined with our Natural Armor Combat, which have the full suits of armor for a May 4th event. And we had a bunch of people from all over the country right before our Saber tournament in Nashville. We fought in a cage. We just lightsaber fought in a cage.
Okay.
And
Seriously?
yeah, and it was awesome. Like the guy I fought was Alan Block, which used to be known as the LeBron James of saber fighting. He's from California, and it wasn't choreographed, but it wasn't ranked, so we were just having fun with it. And we did the continuous fighting, but we used crossguard sabers, and our crossguard sabers are angled, so we can actually like catch the blade on here because they slide. But the he wanted us to just cue each other for 2 moves to where we jump off the cage, and he messed them both up, and it was hilarious to me. Like one of them you can see online that we'll use for like promo things. It was where I cued him and I went to go jump off the cage, and I was supposed to just stab towards him, and he was supposed to just parry it and step to the side, but he messed it up, so I nailed him in the shoulder and then just like kind of hit him again in a couple different ways. And then you're not supposed to grapple in the Saber Legion combat, but since it was an unranked cage fight with a bunch of drunk rednecks, we just kind of told each other we were going to anyway. And there's a clip I don't really share publicly online, but he tried to jump off the cage and he tripped. And when he did it, and again, we're still actually fighting live, so it's not choreographed, but there was those 2 things that we just wanted to impress the crowd. But he messed it up, so I kind of as he tripped, I knocked his blade to the side, grabbed him, threw him to the ground, and then stabbed him in the face.
Oh, that is so
good.
And yeah, that's all on camera. And the only thing I remember is one of the national directors for the sport. She's like a Saber mom. She's from Miami, Florida. She's Melody Graham. And all I remember is looking to the side of the cage, and her face of that disappointed mom looked like, really? That's the only thing I remember for that fight, but it was hilarious.
Oh man, it sounds hilarious, dude. Just to be there to watch that, I think I'd have busted up laughing on that too.
But just like ninja competitions and saber most competitions in general, for an actual tournament, you're there all day long. And yeah, the finals will usually get hyped. Some of the earlier matches, depending on who's matched up, will get hyped. But after a while, it just gets repetitive. Like one thing that they do secret, like on the TV show Ninja Warrior, I ran into this, that they pre-record audiences because they have people run the course all throughout the whole night. So you got 12 hours of one person at a time running the same thing over and over again. And it gets old and people get bored. So they pre-record audiences to make it seem more hyped than it actually is in real life. And if you go to any
figured that much.
Yeah, and if you go to any tournament for basically anything, like it could be baseball, it could be saber combat, it could be whatever. But like throughout the middle of it, earlier rounds after pulls, people are just kind of bored. Just going through the motion, like you're just waiting for your next fight. You might help direct. You might just be chilling, eating something until your next fight. But no, there's not a whole lot of cheering going on middle of the tournament. And that's what's good about the championship series fights too. Like where I got the belt, it's
Mhm.
those are set up more like a UFC fight, to where you have a
Mhm.
headline and then you got a bunch of matches up before then of just different people. Like if Barris wanted to get in a championship series fight, like for the belt match when I defend it, like I'd be defending the championship belt, so I'd be the headline. But let's say like Barris
Mhm.
wanted to go fight, and we put him up against somebody from Virginia up in Wisconsin. It'd be him and that guy from Virginia fighting each other as like one of the opening cards, just to kind of hype the crowd up, so it's not just everybody waiting for one person.
Yeah.
Right. Now, during the tournaments and stuff, do you ever go and like you're waiting for who you're gonna fight next? Do you ever go watch that person go fight and see how he's fighting, so that you kind of get an idea on how to get around their fighting style?
Sometimes I've been doing this for about 7 years now, and I kind of get the gist of all the main people in the sport. Every now and then, there's some new fighter that joins that just wows everybody. That becomes a bit of a challenge. But
Mm-hmm.
I know for the most part all the heavier hitters in the sport, how they fight. But I'm also a director, and I get pulled away into so much crap during the tournament to where I'm constantly moving. So if I'm not fighting, I'm probably in another ring directing. So I don't always get the luxury of seeing that. But and then my wife's also a director, and my wife also fights. So there's a lot of times I end
Oh,
up
that's
having to watch
cool.
her. I had to watch her fight too, and be in her corner,
A
or I'm
family
directing.
sport.
Yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the way tournaments work is that you have pools of four, and then so every it's a round robin for the pools. So like if
Mm-hmm.
we were a pool, like round one, I'd be fighting you. Then round two, I'd be fighting Barris. Then round three, Barris would be fighting you. And then
Mm-hmm.
we do the win loss ratio of that would determine the seeds. And then if there's a tie in the win loss ratio, it goes by overall point difference. But the top two will move on to the main bracket, and that's the main division. And then the bottom
Mm-hmm.
two will go on to what they call the redemption bracket, which is like a nice way of saying losers bracket. But
Mm-hmm.
they still have a lot of prizes. It's still ranked matches, and it's because the sport's not quite big enough to actually have divisions
Mm-hmm.
between the high rank and low rank. That's their kind of way of separating the high rank and low rank, to where the low rank people can still fight for medals and still fight for prizes. So they're not spending all that money to go to a tournament just to get out in the first few fights.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a 3 point system? Is it
Uh,
a three
it's
point system, or how many
it's
points do you have to get before you win the match?
so it's 10.
10?
And everything's worth 1 point. So like if I hit you in the head,
Mm-hmm.
that's 1 point. And it's
Mm-hmm.
either the first to 10 or it is 2.5 minutes of actual fight time. So where
Mm.
if like me and Barris are fighting each other, as we're fighting, the time's going down. But the second one of us hits the other person, the time's gonna stop until the ref says fight again. So we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
separate, like if they gotta discuss a point, because sometimes they're hard to tell because these things go pretty fast. With the
Right.
line judges, it's not actually wasting the time. But it only really gets tricky when there's simultaneous. So if there's like if me and Barris hit each other at the same time, the first two times it's going to be free, like nothing's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the third time and then on, it takes 1 point away from both people.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
there's like let's say the first time I ever fought the owner of the Saber Legion, Charlie Cummins, um,
Mm-hmm.
we ended up on a huge roller coaster because it's the first to 10, and there was a time that it was 7-5 him, and then we got down to like 5-5 because we kept simuling.
Oh
It took a
wow.
point away, but like I'd score some points and then we'd go down Symbol. Then it was like 7-5 me at one point. Then we got down to like 3 something. And then it went back up. And I think
Mm-hmm.
the final score was like 6-4 because of how many times we simuled when the time ran out.
Right.
Like it was a big roller coaster and it kept swapping back and forth between who was actually ahead of the other person. Charlie's a pretty fun fight if you ever get a chance to meet the owner of the sport.
I hope so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's his nickname's the Charging Turtle. Yeah, he's
The charging turtle. Wow.
yeah, he's a pretty good he's a pretty good guy. Overall. But
That's a hell of a handle, though. I like that, though, man. That's
yeah.
crazy. Now, do you have a favorite color of blade, or do you not? Your preference is not. You don't care.
Well, ever since my wife started dyeing my hair purple, I've been winning tournaments.
Oh wow.
So
So
all
that
my
Oh, there
stuff,
you go.
yeah. So
So
like
you
my
got the
blades are
Mace
purple.
Windu.
Yeah, my blades are purple. My
Mace
hair's
Windu.
purple. A lot of my stuff's purple. I also on my Gambison, I put just like a random amount of unicorns as like an inside joke. But
Yeah.
like I got my Ninja Team logos in purple. Like I got a random unicorn right here. I got custom leather bracers to go over my gloves that of course have random unicorns just leather crafted into there.
Hey, unicorns are awesome. Anybody that says otherwise, dude, unicorns.
I agree. I agree, man.
Yeah,
I mean, you got the stallions with the fuck you like horn
yeah.
right there that'll
I think
kick your ass, man.
this is my favorite one right here that's sewn into my Gambison. It just
Oh,
says I will cut you. But
Besides, I think they're a lucky, they're a lucky symbol.
yeah, and then another inside joke is the guy that had the belt before me.
Hmm.
That's I was fighting him. I fight him in finals a lot. That's Jared Graham. He lives in Miami as well. He also has a random amount of unicorns on his Gambison. So we'll always joke when we're at the finals together, be like, "Well, it's because the rest of y'all don't have unicorns on your gear." So, so
Wow.
yeah.
I want to take a second here, though. Surreal Infection, Jay Knox, and anybody else who's come into the chat. I want to thank you guys so much for showing up, and we're not done by no means, but I need to acknowledge that I've seen some new faces in some new names in the chats for the show, and I need to thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us. It's a real honor to have Bobby on, and of course Barris. He's my co-pilot, and I also invited Mountain Sabers James to come on, but he had stuff to do. So again, like I said, I'm seeing some new people on here for Saber Talk Sunday, and thank you guys so much for coming on and chatting with us and being with us because it means a lot to me. It means a lot to Anthony and the show. And I just want to make sure that I acknowledge everybody who's on here. Even Reese, he's the protege for Anthony, and he came and showed up and said howdy to everybody and stuff. And so uh, I just want to make sure that I acknowledge everybody in the chat, and I can't thank you guys enough, as well as Bobby and Barris. You guys make everything go round and round. So I'm really blessed to have people like this on the show and everything. Like I said, we're not done yet because even though it sounds like it, but we're not. We're having some more fun. I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge people. So. Um,
Yeah.
and Bobby, another thing that I wanted to ask you as well, um, how much travel time do you do within these tournaments?
It depends. Because I live in Nashville, Tennessee, which I don't know if you look at a map. Nashville's dead center between the north and southeast of the United States, and but
Yeah.
I will travel out. Like last year, I traveled to a tournament in California. Like I
Hmm.
go to the Florida tournament a lot. Where I'm going to defend the belt at will be in Wisconsin.
Oh wow.
We got a tournament in April in Maryland that we're going to, and then
Mm-hmm.
we might go to one in Minneapolis, Minnesota, right after that, and then we have our local one in Nashville, Tennessee that we're gonna have, and then the main tournament, the biggest tournament every year, is in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So it really just depends on how much we feel like doing, because there's not really
Mm-hmm.
a whole lot of money in the sport right now. So it's just the travel's out of pocket. Like
Oh wow, you actually get money for this stuff?
no,
My God.
no, we're not. I mean, Ninja I did, but a lot of that was also because I coach and build it. But but there is money in pro in that. I've just past my prime in that sport. But the
Mm-hmm.
Saber, a lot of it's just out of pocket. Like I know I've won a decent amount of Sabers, and then I've also helped out a lot of newer Saber companies, so they've been pretty generous to where I've gotten Sabers from them
Mm-hmm.
to not really exactly free, but they have given it to me a little cheaper just to help test them out and help promote them as they're starting up.
Right.
And then I know about 45 minutes north of us is Rebel Sabers here in Nashville. They're
Mm-hmm.
in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and they've been very nice to my whole charter. Like they my their logo is actually painted on my fencing mask. Um, wherever I put it, I know it's kind of beat up right now, but like Rebel Sabers logos in purple on my fencing mask.
Oh cool.
So,
Awesome.
but
So they've
yeah,
been
we
pretty good. And do you have any sabers that you actually have on the wall, like that are basically shelf queens, or do you have like collectibles? Do you collect collectible sabers as well, or
I
just
have
the
some
ones
of
that you
them.
fight with?
I do have some collectibles. I have them more on my fireplace mantle. And then I
Mm-hmm.
have some hanging up on the wall. Most of them I won in a tournament that I have. Because the just depending on random saber tournament companies, they'll sponsor tournaments sometimes. There's one
Mm-hmm.
that I just thought was really pretty from Rebel Sabers that I helped them out at a con. So I ended up just buying that off of them because I was staring at it for 12 hours straight and really wanted it. So
Caught your eye.
yeah,
I know
but
the feeling.
yeah, I mean, I like supporting them. I like supporting any Saber company. I try to promote and support,
Hmm.
but especially the ones that are closer to me. Like I'll try to help them out and promote them the best
Yeah.
I can. Like on my Gambison, like Ryan McKenna, he does the custom leather work. Like he can make custom leather armor sets. He made this with my old Ninja Team logo embroidered into it. He's the one that made the unicorn bracers. Um, the HEMA
That
kit
armor looks
alone,
fantastic, by the way.
yeah. Oh, thank you. But that HEMA jacket with the pads that come with it is more than enough that I would ever need to fight with steel swords. Nonetheless, just
Hmm.
polycarbonate sabers. But I really like Ryan. I really like his company, and he makes some really awesome leather armor. So getting custom, yeah, getting
Yep.
custom pieces made. Like there was it just
Hmm.
makes me look better. And then
Yeah. Well, I mean, good people, good products make the world
yeah,
go round, dude. Yeah,
yeah,
for
true. And then
sure.
there, like one of the dueling companies. I know I mentioned Alec Martinez earlier, but his Celtic custom sabers that he makes for specifically for dueling. The whole reason why he
Hmm.
made that company, I don't know if you heard of anything with the Kai sabers when they kind of fell off the earth.
Yeah, I heard
Um,
Kai Sabers has basically become a pariah
yeah,
now. It's
but they
bad. Like
they used to make the best dueling hilts in the sport, and then when they dropped off the planet and then scanned a bunch of people out of their money like right after all that and like whatever drama happened there, uh Celtic Customs formed up because he realized how cheap they were to actually make, and then so he doesn't make profit off of them, but he literally will just make them as almost at cost basically, just so people have
Hmm.
affordable dueling lightsabers max link that they can use in tournaments. And then so I have a lot of his stuff, like all my exotic sabers I use are his company because he has the best deal on the
Hmm.
market still. And it's
Well,
really
that's
hard not to
cool.
support him because he literally just makes them just to get newer people involved for affordable prices because he figured out they're cheaper to make that way.
You know what's a shame? You
Yeah.
know what company is no longer making hilts, which actually they are incredible quality. Bendu Armory. They're no longer making their custom hilts, which they look amazing.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They
Bendu.
left? I
I
didn't even know
know.
that. Honestly, I didn't even know that.
No, they're
Wow.
focusing on their blades now.
Yeah, I know Bendu Armory will actually sell a 40-inch Xenopixel blade.
Hmm.
Because I know one of a couple of the TSL fighters, like Jerry Graham for his Xenopixel blade, because we just wanted to look flashier for our belt match. Him and like
Hmm.
Andy Cameron in Wisconsin, a couple of them had the 40-inch pixel blades from Bendu Armory. But I don't know of anyone in the sport that actually fights with their hilts because their hilts are a little shorter. But
Yeah, but still, it's a shame that Bendu is no longer making the hilts. It's like with what SP Sabers went through.
yeah, but their blades are getting bought by the TSL fighters.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah, I mean, Anthony makes a lot of blades, but he doesn't make any blades, really to fight with. His blades are performance and show blades. Yeah, he's got some of the brightest blades, man. 560 some odd LEDs inside the blade.
Well, I mean,
It's crazy.
you can duel with Civilized Saber's blades, and I mean they are
Yeah.
worn. But after like the first or second repair, you're just like, dude, what are you using them for? It's like, sparring. Like, yeah, no. You're gonna have to pay $100 every time to throw it in.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, and it protege Reese, man, and Reese is gonna make me some a blade, and I tell you, Reese is doing fantastic, man. I've followed his progress, and if you've seen some of the videos from Civilized Sabers that Reese he spins and he shows the blades. They recently made a blade where they did the day blade on the outside and it was still bright as hell. You could see the color of the blade easily,
yeah.
and it was like, wow. I mean, fantastic stuff, man. But in all in all reality, though, whenever you fight with the blade, um, it really doesn't matter at times what color you're using or whatever, because I would imagine most of the colors, unless you're using the inlet, right? Inlight blade,
Yeah, basically.
your neopixels are gonna go dark quite a bit compared to the inlet, because the inlet you're still bashing pretty hard, and it's not gonna, the color's not gonna diminish because there's no LEDs to go dead within it. So,
Well, it depends on the cellophane on his side. 'Cause sometimes the cellophane will get bunched up and it'll create some little
oh, really?
there.
Distortions, yeah.
Yeah, but
So that has happened.
that is one cool thing you could do though when if you're making your own blades for dueling, because like you want the thicker grade blades. I think that stock that I just had is actually yeah, that's a mid grade to where the
Hmm.
end of it's a little too thin to fight. Like you want the thick wall or heavy grade for what we do.
So the 1 inch, the 1 inch is
Out
common.
of diameter. Yeah, still the 1 inch out of diameter. I know I'm gonna try a Lightspeed tournament next month because they have
Hmm.
that, but they use like a 3/4 inch mid grade blade, which I feel like breaks every 5 minutes. But I mean it's something to try because why not? But just getting the tubes, like I have just bought a bunch of tubes off the custom saber shop before and made my own blades. And played
Hmm.
with different cellophane. Like one of the cooler blades that I had, like I just put a white LED in the saber hilt, and then I found this rainbow cellophane to where it had this like pink and blue film that I just slid in the
Oh,
blade,
wow.
and then
Uh,
so it had it kind of looked like something like an aura from Dragon Ball almost, like it was just blue all the way up the blade with
oh.
with like a reddish pink outside all the way up. So it was like blue and pink, like all the way up the blade.
Oh, that sounds cool. That really
And
sounds cool.
it was just a white LED with some rainbow cellophane I stuck in the blade. So like, I know Ripper Blades, like Gary Ripper, like he's made some
Oh,
pretty
he's
cool
OG. He's amazing.
yeah, he's made a whole lot of really cool dual worthy blades with cellophane. Like I don't know if he's painted some of
Hmm.
the cellophane or if he's just like bought specialty gift wrap, but like I've seen him make like galaxy
Yeah,
effects just go up the blades.
I had one of his blades back a few years ago. I bought the cross guard version, and
Mhm.
it looks like what he did was he painted it, and he also put like a glitter on the inside or something. I don't know exactly what he did, but every time I would hit the blade, little bits of glitter would just fall out. But you know,
Wow.
he would actually be. You think his dropship store BYO would be a good a good
They sponsor a lot of Saber Legion tournaments. Charlie Cummins pretty good friends with Gary Ripper, and
yeah,
Hmm.
a lot of the tournaments up in Minnesota. They sponsor BYL Saber sponsors.
okay.
I know it's another
Cool.
LGT. The BYL Sabers is just more LGT Sabers.
Yeah.
Um, so like I know a
Eventually, I
lot of
want to
their
get one.
yeah like I know our tournament in Nashville. We have Rebel Sabers. They usually sponsor the tournament. They'll be there this year. They're
Hmm.
LGT Saber supplier. So when I'm reaching out to other sponsors, like I don't think there really would be a real issue if I had multiple LGT Saber companies sponsor it, but it's just in my head. I'm just would rather steer clear of that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
I think what's it would be important for the upcoming tournament is specific unique products that these individual stores make. Like for example, there's Exical Outpost. They also do drop shipping, but they make this very unique blade plug that looks like an exposed crystal. It's
yeah.
Hmm.
priced $85 on their store, and it looks really freaking awesome.
I'll be let me grab that Rebel Sabers custom thing real fast.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but Rebel Sabers.
Scott, to your question, yes. Scott, to your question, yes.
Oh, hey, real quickly, I
Um,
wanted to do a show and tell.
yes, do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
that's the
this right
Maverick.
here. Yeah, I got this. This is a Rebel Sabers is the only one that makes this. It's all LGT manufactured, but Rebel Saber's the only one that makes this. I got a Xenopixel core in
Hmm.
here, but I love just walking around cons with this saber specifically. When
There
I've
you
stared
go.
at it for about 12 hours helping her out at a con.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm helping her out next Saturday at Con Nuga.
Add a cover tech wheel on the back of that, and it'll be perfect.
Yeah, I'm just I'm not a big fan of cover tech wheels because I
See,
I
I'm not
fidget too
either.
much.
I'm not either.
Yeah, I fidget too much. Like
Oh,
I know their Sentinel is another one. I have their Sentinel that I won in a tournament before. That Rebel Sabers also only makes. So I've taken to the Ren Fair before, but I have a sheath
Hmm.
that the blade just goes in,
yeah.
and I just put it in the sheath for a
See,
Ren Fair.
there's some leather makers here. Where I live in Corpus Christi, Texas. So there's a lot of leather makers over here. And one of the things that I want to do is eventually find a good leather maker and have them make me quite a few saber holsters, simply with for thin necks and stuff.
Yeah,
And I feel like instead of having the D-ring holder or the cover tech wheel holder, I feel because I mean here in Texas, you I grew up on a ranch, and so having a hoster was a big part of my life, and I wanted to incorporate that eventually to the sabers that I love to hold on to and take with me at times. Open carry the sabers, in a holster, a leather holster.
that'd be cool. And I know there's a one of the saber companies that's not really there anymore, like Mando Core. They're in
Hmm.
Arkansas. They made a lot of custom dueling sabers that they do custom leather wraps for. and he'd
Mhm.
tool in. He'd make all these cool designs. Like he put my logo in the hilt for it and a leather wrap that went all the way around it. And I have that saber hanging
Mhm.
up on the wall right now because I don't fight with it much anymore. But the there's been a decent amount of like Celtic Customs could still do a leather wrap around the sabers, and when people do it correctly, it looks pretty good and it's pretty durable.
Mhm. Wow.
Since we're doing show and tell right now, I wanted to show something that is technically not Saber related, but it's still pretty awesome. It's an AW custom. It was an airsoft pistol, but I sent it into Jonathan Rossi of Sabers Forever, and
Okay, I was just gonna ask you that. Yeah, I saw his video on those. My God.
yep, it's got all the blaster sounds. It's got the DL44, the EE3, the E11, the DC17, the DLT 13, and of course the mouth blaster. Pew,
Hmm.
pew. So I mean, this was, I originally got this to play airsoft with, but it's a big clunky, clunky girl. But ultimately, I think converting this was really a good idea in the end.
Shoot, I need to
I would
send it to
eventually like to acquire one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it off of eBay.com and I sent it in, and it costs like around $500 and change to get it converted. But
Hmm.
yeah, but I'll be having this strapped at the con this upcoming weekend with my
Hmm.
holster that I got from Garmin Props. He's on Etsy. He makes amazing leather gear, and I'm
Hmm.
just really excited. Obviously, they'll probably have to have me put a thing around the trigger, but ultimately, this is just really amazing, and I'm glad that I shoot my shot when doing this when getting this converted.
Wow. Yeah, eventually, like I was saying, I'd like to acquire a Gary Ripper blade because one of my builds that I want to do eventually is a Highlander build blade.
With the
Uh,
sound font
Katana,
by Mountain.
the yeah, well, the katana style, right? But and the reason for that is Bobby, if you ever get a chance, and I know that Adrian Paul has his sword experience all over, and if you ever get a chance, I know he's been out there to Tennessee a few times too. Take the sword experience, man. I think you'd be have a lot of fun with it. What he does is, first of all, do you know who Adrian Paul is?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Sorry.
Adrian Paul. That's quite okay. Adrian Paul, he's an actor, and he played. I got low
I think
battery
your
in my
mic is muted.
earplugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to switch, but yeah, I got low battery in my earplugs. So if it go dead, I apologize. But he's an actor. He does what's called the sword experience. He he goes from place to place, and what he does is he takes pieces of movies and he reenacts certain scenes, and he'll teach you the choreography. And with the class, you'll do a short workout, you'll do the choreography, and then he'll film you guys, and he'll do um, different different places, and he goes all over the place, and it's a lot of fun. So if you ever get the experience, he played Duncan MacLeod in the Highlander series from the 90s. So if you ever get a chance, watch it. It's pretty cool. And then he like I said, uh take that experience if you ever get a chance. He goes to cons all the time too. And so if you ever get a chance to meet him, he'll be one of the best actors to ever meet because he's so cool, man. He is
Yeah.
really cool, down to earth person.
That's, that's
Uh,
cool.
eh,
I
yeah.
think the only time I've seen something like that at a con was I don't remember his name, but the guy that is the stunt double for Qui-Gon Jinn in the Phantom Menace.
Hmm.
It was at a Heroes and Villains Fest, and I had a Saber Legion demo at that convention in Nashville. So I had a bunch of people from Tennessee and Alabama. We're just doing a demo for the Saber Legion,
Mhm.
and I just remember he came up and just assumed that we knew how to fix the saber, and just like handed me a saber, asking if I could fix it. And I mean, I did, but it was just kind of random that he just assumed that we knew that. It was just a couple wires that just need to be reconnected. But yeah, he gave me like an autograph picture. I guess it was him instead of Liam Neeson that was stabbed by Darth Maul, and I got an autograph
Oh,
Really?
wow.
picture.
Wait,
Yeah.
from the behind or
Nice.
from the front? Okay,
Uh,
from the behind. Okay, I get that. Oh
yeah,
wow,
it's I guess it's in my room. But
that's cool.
yeah, it was just really random. Because
That's
I still
cool.
don't know his name, and like it was cool, and I appreciate the autographed picture. But again, like it's just random.
Dude, that is freaking awesome, man. That is
Yeah.
freaking awesome. So at this point, guys, I don't know if this other one is going to cut out too or not. So I'm going to go ahead and call the show right now. Bobby, thank you so much for coming on. And I tell you, man, I certainly hope you'll come on the show again whenever you have time.
Hmm.
It's always an invitation, never have to, bro.
Yeah, of
And
course.
certainly invite everybody.
Yeah. So I have we have our tournament in Nashville, Tennessee through the Saber Legion. It's the Saber Strong Open 2025. It will be May 31st, June 1st. You can sign up, find the Saber Legion on Facebook. Um, I'm trying to get the event linked up on the website, but you can also find us on the Discord page as well for the Saber Legion. But we will stream that tournament. I know we got a couple tournaments ahead of time. The next big one is in April, and that's Starfighter in Maryland. And that we will all be at. But yeah, as it gets closer to the time, I could probably get back on and maybe bring some other TSL fighters
Be great.
and get their experience.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I'm down for everything Sabres, bro. That's why it's called Saber Talk Sunday.
All right.
And well, yeah, I mean it's all good, dude. I mean anything Sabres. Like I said, if you ever get a chance also to check out Darth Alice Sabers, man, he makes some killer
Oh,
rapier sabers. I mean, my God, his work is
it's
beautiful.
crazy.
Well, does he make basket hill sabers?
I think, yeah, he does. I think
That'd
he's
be
made
awesome.
basket
They're
hills and a few other things.
they're actually trying to add basket hilt sabers to the Saber Legion Exotics division. And
Uh-huh.
there's not a whole lot of companies that make them. There's just people that just been kind of DIYing them with their own with just SCA rapier basket hilts that they're just putting on metal tubing and making their own sabers. But if there's a
Hmm.
company that's actually making them, then that'd be cool if we could test the
He's all by
durability of them.
himself. Yeah. He's all by his lonesome, man. He makes them handmade type stuff. I mean, he does everything from laser etching to, full metal hill, everything. Darth Alice, man, check him out. He's been on the show a couple of times, and I think I'm gonna bring him back if he gets some time. But check out some of his creations, especially some of his katanas and rapiers and other stuff too, man. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, I'll
So for
check
all
it
those of
out.
you guys watching, yeah, definitely, man, definitely for sure. For everybody watching, again, thank you. Like and subscribe if you wish. Also, make sure that you like and subscribe to these guys. I know they appreciate it. Everybody appreciates it. For everybody in the chat, thank you so much. And again, without you guys, without these guys here with me tonight, yeah, the show would not be possible. So much love, much respect, guys. Um, very much respect and love you guys too. Um, and make sure anytime that y'all watching Civilized Sabers the live, um, I piggyback off this channel as well. So on Instagram at Mundo Cabrera 7007. You can check out any videos here as on my Instagram page. Okay, so if you're seeing something here, it's gonna be over there. If there's something that you missed here, you could probably go to my channel and it'll be the same thing that you see here. Okay. And again, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for everybody watching and or are going to watch. And Bobby, like I said, man, you're welcome to come on anytime, man. Just tell me you want a link. I'll send you one, man. Barris already knows the deal.
Well,
He's already the co-pilot, man.
Thank you. I appreciate
So
it.
okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. Yeah, anytime, dude.
all
I'm
right.
gonna go
Yeah.
ahead and we're gonna
Well,
later,
Barry
guys.
says,
Have a good night.
see ya.
Have a good week.